Welcome back to LearnPianoLive.com. My name is Jamin, and as you can tell from the countdown clock, the lesson is about to get started. In case you're new with this, there's a few things I'd like to show you to help you throughout the lesson. So this lesson is about reharmonization. That means we're going to take an existing song and we're going to find new chords to play over the same melody. Now, that means you're probably going to need to already know about chords and keys and probably intervals, and probably have already several songs that you can play well enough that they actually sound like the song. But even if you can't do that, you might pick up some interesting theory bits along the way. So feel free to join us. The goal, though, is not this song. It's not about the song that we're working on. It's really about taking the concepts you like, the reharmonizations, the substitutions that you like from this lesson, and then applying them to other songs that you already know how to play. These lessons are always guided and shaped by your questions, and if you're live with us today, there's a couple different ways you can do that. One is in the public live chat, and the other is the Ask Jamin a Question button, where you can ask me a question privately, and I won't share your identity in case you're afraid that your question is stupid. But it's not. If you're in the archives, though, then just open up the survey. At the end of that, there's a place where you can ask your question. I will say I frequently get questions from students in the archives watching a lesson from 6 months ago, and I have no idea what they're talking about. So please try to be as specific as possible. If you're watching this at LearnPianoLive.com, there should be a PDF and an MP3 button right next to this video. The PDF will often have additional video links inside so you can get more in-depth instruction on each of the topics. And if you're the kind of person who likes to print out the PDF so you can make the same notes on your physical version as I'm making during the lesson, now would be the time to do that. The MP3 is just a play-along track so you can practice more after the lesson. In traditional lessons, a teacher is going to actually present some new concept for maybe 5 or 10 minutes every couple weeks. The rest of the time is going to be spent applying and refining those concepts. Well, here I'm spouting off hours of new information every week, so it's totally unreasonable to expect you to actually absorb all of that. Instead, the goal of these live lessons is for you to find some little nugget of something that makes sense, but is a bit of a challenge, and for you to go practice it, because practice is where all the improvement's going to happen. So don't feel bad if you have to leave the live lesson when you find that little thing that you're going to practice. And of course, if I'm going too fast, you can always rewind the live lessons or replay in the archives as much as you want. If these live lessons start feeling random or meandering, it's because they are, on purpose. So if you're the kind of person who wants classical training with a step-by-step method, then you're going to want to check out Kloppel Academy on the website. It's included in your live lesson subscription, so you can do both or either. And the upper levels are seriously hard work, but it's going to take you all the way from ground zero all the way up to being ready to enter any major music college as a piano major in classical or jazz. And thankfully, I think that's about all we need to cover before the lesson. So if you'd stick around afterwards and fill out the survey, I would love your feedback. But for now, let's have some fun and make some music.
I used to float, now I just fall down. I used to know, but I'm not sure now what I was made for. made for? What was I made for?
All right. So if you're totally lost, me too. Honestly, I don't really know this song. It's a pop song, so I'm not really familiar with the actual real chords that Billie Eilish used. But I'm gonna show them to you real quick, and because it's a popular song, yeah, I'm just we're gonna breeze through the chords real quick on this, and then we're gonna get to the reharm part, which is probably if you already know this song. What I just played was really super irritating and wrong and terrible, which is kind of what we're doing here, is taking all the chords and rearranging them. If you've never heard the song before, it might have been interesting and pretty. Hopefully. Anyway, we're going to get into this song. I'll show you how to play the right chords, and then I'll show you some of the ideas that I was using to come up with some of the other more colorful dissonant chords or whatever. All right, so this song is pretty much just C and F back and forth. So it's that one right there, which is C, E, and G. And then it's going to go to an F chord, and it's going to do that back and forth a whole lot. That's almost the whole entire right way to play this song. So... So it's just a C and F back and forth. The melody is the stuff that's written in here. If you download the PDF, it's a B and a C and an E and a G. So you actually don't even have to be able to read sheet music in order to play those notes because they're all written in for you. That is not what we're doing today. This is not supposed to be a tutorial on how to play it the right way. But that is the right way to play it. They do have one A minor right in here. So that's going to be those three notes right there. A, C, and E. Cool. Yes, this is not Kendra. This is Billie Eilish. Not that you'd be able to tell the difference, and I'm sure someday Kendra will be even more famous than Billie Eilish. But I think she's off in a different state right now, learning college stuff and things. Anyway, so A minor is that right there. A, C, and E, and then only two other chords that you're going to need eventually would be a D minor right here, which is D, F, and A. And then the G chord that they're playing right here is a G, B, and a D. And this next section over here, depending on the time through that she's singing it, they do different things in there. So I didn't even write in the melody for that because it won't matter for the stuff that we're doing. And the rest of these chords are just the same as what we played up top. So it's C, F, C, F, C, F, A minor, F. That section right there is the same as that section right there. Hopefully that made some sense. If not, this might not be the right lesson for you, or you can ask it in the survey at the end of the lesson, or you can ask it if you're live with me. You can ask it right now. Yep, cool. Just checking the chat. Yes, they do sound similar, except Kendra's a little bit better. So then one other thing about the right way to play the song before we go to changing the chords around, like I did. Before each of the Fs, frequently they play an E, the note E in there. So it's like a C chord and then C with an E in the bass. So it could be like C over E, depending on how you want to see it. Maybe on some like ultimateguitar.com sheets might have it as an E minor, but I'm just hearing it as a C and then a C in the bass to an F. So that's the whole thing, like C, C in the E in the bass to F. That's pretty much the whole piano part. So if you want to sing along with it the right way, I'm sure Lily, if you don't already have a cover of this one, you'd be able to cover this in no time flat with those ones right there. C, C over E, and F. Okay, cool. So now let's talk about messing with the chords. Let me see if I can actually play those right chords for you, just so you, in case you haven't heard the song before, you'll be able to kind of get an idea of how this is supposed to go. So it'd be like this.
I used to float, now I just fall down. I used to know, but I'm not sure now what I was made
C, C over E, and F.
What was I made
A minor over E, and then F. And then they just do that again.
taking a drive.
Okay, cool. Enough of that. Let's take a look at the structure of the melody real quick, because that might tell us a little bit about what some of our options are for reharmonizing or changing the chords to this song. I bet you did, Lily. You've got your own piano arrangement of it. Everybody check out Lily May Music. You want to put your YouTube channel in the chat there too, and she's got a piano arrangement of this song already. Of course. So B, C, E, G. These are the main notes for the melody. So those ones right there are the notes that we're going to try to not violate a whole lot. This might be why I was at the beginning drawn to the A minor to start off my reharm with, because these notes right here, these are the notes for the A minor, and these are the notes of like an A minor 9. So all of those notes are in the A minor 9 chord. So that's probably why I like that one, but it's going to stay in the key of C. And if you've been here for the reharm lessons before, you know any of these melodies that repeat over and over and over are generally going to be more conducive to reharmonization because there's something that's staying the same. If the melody's moving all over the place, like when we did the Fly Me to the Moon reharmonization, then we kind of have to fit the chords to the melody a lot more. But if it's repeating like this, we don't really have to worry so much. So we can just jump down here to our reharmonization worksheet, or you can go to learnpianolive.com/reharm for this worksheet. It doesn't have the sheet music for this song in particular, but you can just use this same sheet on any song that you want to reharm. Check in the chat. Oh, on TikTok, of course, Lily May is young and cool and not on the lame YouTubes and stuff. TikTok, Lily May Music. All right, cool. So then we have chords. Let's talk about this one first. So harmonic generalization. Let's talk about this topic right here. So harmonic generalization just means that you're going to play chords that are inside of the key that you're in. So if we're in the key of C, where we play all white notes, any chord that uses all white notes is going to be inside of our key. None of these violate the rules of the key of C. And so we could play any of those theoretically at any time in the song and have it sound perhaps not terrible, at least an experiment worth running. So let's try that. I'm going to play, I'll just go straight through them. This one's going to be a tough one to add in, but we'll try it, and then we'll get back to the C at the end and see if that sounds horrific with what she's singing or if that kind of works out. So this is harmonic generalization, just generally staying inside the key. Here we go.
I used to float, now I just fall down. I used to know, but I'm not sure now what I was made for. What was I made for?
Yeah, the timing of the G wasn't my favorite. It didn't really match the melody a whole lot, but wow. 7 out of 8 isn't bad. We went all the way from C up to C, and they all sounded pretty decent-ish, except for the timing on that one. I bet we could fit that one in if we just changed the timing a little bit. So let me try that again, only this time I'm going to be a little bit more purposeful about when I throw that G in, to hopefully make them all sound like they fit-ish. Here we go.
I used to float, now I just fall
I like this.
down. I used to know, but I'm not sure now what I was made for. What was I made for? Taking a drive.
So that was all of the chords in a row, just moving. I moved from, what, C all the way up to F. So we went through, what is that, 11 chords, and they all worked out all right. They didn't sound like the original song, and I don't know if they sounded better or not because I don't really know the original song, but they all kind of worked with the melody. All right, so then that's harmonic generalization. We really haven't thrown in, oh, there we go. By the way, this is the track that I'm using for the vocals here. It's just Billie Eilish singing, but it doesn't have any in the background track. So I can change up the chords and still have her melody. Okay, so then we haven't changed any of the chords that are written in officially yet, but let's talk about what we could do here. The next thing is adding in a 2-5 or a 6-2-5 or a 3-6-2-5 before any chord. So trying to go from the 5 to the 1 of any chord. I'll show you what that means. 2-5, 6-2-5, or 3-6-2-5. Those are all just partials of 3-6-2-5. So a 2-5 is just when you don't have time for a 3-6-2-5. 6-2-5 is when you don't have time, whatever that is. These are all the same thing. 3-6-2-5, those are the numbers that you need to have memorized. 3-6-2-5, and then 1 at the end. 3-6-2-5, 1. 3-6-2-5, 1. So if we go up to here, and we pick any chord that we want. I'm going to go ahead and pick the C right here on purpose. I am cheating this time. I'm often accused of cheating in music. When I'm not, this time I am. That's right. Yes. Like and subscribe to Lily May. Absolutely. Okay, cool. Brian, I don't know if you're asking me how I chose the song. I just went to the Billboard playlist. I have these tabs where it goes like, show me what all the kids are listening to these days. And it gives me all kinds of lists from Billboard and Apple Music and Spotify and stuff. And then I pick a random one that has a melody, and then we reharm that. That's how I pick them. So I really don't know these songs. So I'm not cheating there. A lot of people say, oh, you picked a song that was really easy to reharm. I just pick one that has a melody, and then we do it. Okay, so then in this case, I'm going to choose this C right here to be my 1. Do you remember those numbers that we memorized a second ago? There's 4 of them. 3, 6, 2, 5, and then 1. So I'm going to treat this C like 1. That doesn't have to make sense yet, but just know that we're going to go 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. That's the goal. So now, if C is 1, that means that D would be 2, and E would be 3, and F would be 4, and then G would be 5, and A would be 6, and then B would be 7. So assigning those numbers because I chose C to be number 1. We could have picked this F or any of the other chords in the entire song, but I'm picking this C. We're gonna have that be 1 right there. Cool. So then the 5, do you remember what the 5 was? What was the 5 of C? If we pretend that C is 1, what is the 5? Yes, that's right. It's a G chord right here. And then the 2 in the key of C was going to be a D, and I'm going to make this a D minor because the 3 and the 6 and the 2 are going to be minor. Just trust me, there are lessons on the circle of fifths and diatonic triads if you care a whole lot about why that's a D minor, but the 2 is always going to be minor. And so is the 6, and so is the 3. So D minor is the 2, the 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is going to be A minor. A because A is the 6, and minor because I said so. And then 3 is going to be 1, 2, 3, E minor. Okay, so hopefully that made some sense right there. I said, okay, let's pretend C is 1, because that's the one that I picked. And then what would be the 3 and the 6 and the 2 and the 5 of that? The 3 and the 6 and the 2 have to be minor because I said so. Actually, because the key said so, but whatever. So E minor to A minor to D minor to G, those are going to be the ones that kind of lead into this C. If I can play an E minor to an A minor to a D to a G, that's really going to make everybody want to hear a C. Watch this. E minor to A minor to D minor to G, and makes that C really satisfying at the end. So that's a 3 to a 6 to a 2 to a 5 to a 1. Now, like I tried to say before, if you don't have time for a 3, 6, 2, 5, you could just go 2, 5, or you could just go 6, 2, 5, or whatever you've got time for. But we're going to try to fit in a 3 to a 6 to a 2 to a 5 to a 1. At the moment, we're just going to try to spread them out a little bit. So let's go 2 chords per measure. We could go 1 chord per measure. It doesn't really matter a whole lot. But I'm going to use up 2 measures right here to go E minor to A minor to D minor to G. And that should land me on that C pretty comfortably on that next. Here, we'll get rid of all of this. There we go. So now I've got pretty much all the same chords. I'm still going to go C over E maybe, to F. And then on this next one, I'm going to go E to A minor, to D minor, to G, to C. And hopefully when we get to that C, it'll feel really concludey. All right, let's try it. Good luck, y'all. You can play along with me or just listen.
I used to float, now I just fall down.
Here we go.
I used to know, but I'm not sure now what I was made for. What was I made for?
And then again.
Taking
Top,
a
C,
drive,
C over
I was a night.
Here's our 3 6 2 5 1.
Looked so alive. Turns out I'm not real, just something you paid for.
Yeah. So, I don't know. For me, a dude who doesn't really know the song and just listening to the melody and the chords, it kind of works to go 3 6 2 5 1. And I didn't even pay any attention to what the melody was or lining up any of that stuff. It's just one of your reharm options is pick a chord, pretend like it's the one, and then move backwards and go 3 6 2 5 1 to lead into it. Let's try one more of those. Let's try it on. Let's try it on the F. So we're gonna go. I'm gonna get rid of this one right here. I don't know how this is gonna go, friends, as always. But we're gonna pretend like F is 1. And if F is 1, we do have to. Well, no, we don't. This is the 1. This is the 2. This is the 3. This is the 6, and that's the 5. 3 6 2 5 1 in the key of F. So if you know your keys and stuff, you would have to watch out for in the key of F B flat. B flat happens to be the 4, and so it's not going to play a role in the 3 6 2 5 1 because we're not going to play the 4 if none of those words made sense. Cool, you didn't really need any of them, but for some people who knew about keys, it was a little bit confusing that I wasn't playing the B flat in there. So you got 3 6 2 5 1 would be 3 6 2. Well, let's just write them in where they go. 3 6 2 5 hopefully is going to feel really concludy on that F. So again, the 5 of the F is going to be C, and then the 2 of the F is going to be G, but it's going to be minor because the 2 is minor because I said so, because the key said so. The 6 is going to be D minor, and the 3 is going to be A minor. So we're going to play A minor to D minor to G minor to C to F right there, hopefully feeling kind of concludy on that F. Cool. Let's see. Good luck to us all. You can play along or you can just listen, see how this 3 6 2 5 thing works out.
I used to float, now I just fall down.
Here we go.
I used to know, but I'm not sure now what I was made for.
Here we go.
What was I made for? Taking a drive, I was an ideal, looked so alive.
3
Turns out I'm not
2
real, just something you paid for.
3 6
What was I made for?
5 1.
'Cause
Yeah, and then we have the rest of the chords, which we haven't changed at all. Alrighty, so there's some of that stuff. Now, because we're pushing up against people's attention span and the time of the lesson and stuff, I'm not going to continue to go through all of these, but on our next reharm, we'll hit a lot of those, and maybe we'll use the spinning wheel to make it feel more random. I do want to show you, though, before we go, some of the stuff that I was doing at the beginning, because I wasn't purposely taking things from the reharm chart and then trying to apply them. I was just like making up a progression that felt cool to me. So let me show you what felt cool to me at the beginning, as far as I can remember, because I wasn't doing it on purpose. But I think I started with an A minor, and I knew that would fit because I knew we were in the key of C, and I already had heard the song once or twice through to know that the melody was really repetitive, and I could pretty much pick any chords I wanted. So I started with an A minor, and as soon as I played it, I felt like the bottom note wanted to move down. This is called a kesh, which stands for, why did I say that? It stands for, I can do this, a contrapuntal
embellishment of a static harmony. So you just have one chord for a long time, a harmony that just doesn't move. And then what you can do is just take the bottom note and then kind of embellish it by moving it down by a half step. So that's kind of what it started out with, is just an A minor, and then A minor with a G sharp, and then A minor with a G, and the A minor with an F sharp. And arguably, yes, all of these are different chords. You could call this a minor. You could call this one an A flat augmented, or an A minor major 7. You could call this one a C over G. You could call this one a D7 over F sharp if you wanted to. But I'd rather just call it A minor with a little slidey downy thing at the bottom. And then I think I went down to an F at that point. Oh, and then I did do a 2-5-1 into an A at some point. I do remember that. So I wanted to get back to the A minor, because I eventually, my Kesh, my C-E-S-H, Kesh, got me down to here or something like that. And I wanted to get back to the A minor to do it again on the loop back around. So I wanted to do a 2-5-1, just like we talked about, but going into A minor. And so here's the deal, real quick, for reasons that we won't get into here, but I've gotten into in a lot of other lessons. And if you want to ask me about it, then we can go over it. But real quick, if your 1 that you're landing on is a minor chord, then your 2 and your 5 that you'd use are going to have different chord qualities than what we talked about before. So before I said the 2 is going to be minor, because I said, well, now our 2 is going to be half diminished, because I said, and the 5 is still going to be a dominant chord. So the 5 of A minor, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is going to be an E. I'm going to play as an E7, and then the B is going to be a B half diminished, which means diminished on the bottom and not diminished on the top, just a regular old lower dominant 7 on the top. So B, D, F, A makes up a B half diminished chord. Cool. Most of us probably don't care why, but that's a B half diminished. So that would be 2, which is always half diminished, 5, which is a dominant chord, a 7 chord, and then land on the 1 that's minor in this case. So that's all true if what you're going to land on as the 1 is a minor chord. And in this case it is. So I wanted to land on an A minor chord. So I'm like, I'm going to do a 2-5-1 to get back to A minor. So I played B half diminished to E to get back to the A minor. All right. I think there was a thing too in there where, like, later on in the song, I wanted to do something different. I didn't want to just keep doing that A minor catch thing. So I wanted to go to like an F. In order to get to the F, I decided to do a 2-5-1 into the F. Yeah, really. I didn't think about it ahead of time, but I used a lot of 2-5-1s. A 2-5-1 in the key of F, we already figured this one out. Ha! Cool. I think you'll find these 3 chords if you go back to the original, the one that I played at the very beginning of the lesson, a G minor to a C to an F. And I did that for the other section so I could have something that leads into an F instead of always leading back to an A minor and leading back to an A minor and leading back to an A minor. So in that case, I went G minor to C to F. I think that was about it. So let's try playing through this thing one more time. I'm going to start out with the original chords. I'm going to use the alterations that we did, the 3-6-2-5-1 thing, and then I'm going to use one of those keshes, so an A minor with this thing that moves down chromatically, and then I'm going to try to also include the 2-5-1 that lands on the F like I did originally. It's not going to sound like the original, but I don't remember what I did originally, and it doesn't matter. Here we go.
I used to float, now I just fall down. I used to know, but I'm not sure now what I was made for. What was I made for? Taking a drive, I was an ideal, looked so alive. Turns out I'm not real, just something you paid for. What was I made for? 'Cause I don't know how to feel, but I wanna try. I don't know someday I
We'll cut it there. But I think that was most of the stuff that we wanted to cover today. 36251, honestly, and 251s, if you can incorporate that into your playing, that's a lot of reharm stuff right there. And then, yeah, we've got tons of other lessons on all these other things. If you have questions about these, like, no, I wanted you to do the tritone to 5 sub on this song, then let me know. We can throw in anything that you wanted to see, particularly on this song. But most likely, if you already play enough stuff to know what that is, I'm probably going to throw it back to you and go, hey, why don't you try it? And then we can talk about that, and I'll play it for you, and you can play it for me. Anyway, let me know what it is that you're wanting to do next. But and if you're a student, you can submit any videos on the website that you want. And otherwise, until next time, I think it's time to go explore, mess up, have fun, rock on, friends.